producer, even though he's like the nicest guy. We see it from tiny things such as fighters that become obstacles, and they're very effective. So the dad's gashes. They almost even had a version of the script where the dog did die, and even had an alternative in case the dog was too much trouble on set. I thought that was hilarious. The director was told, yo, like, you cannot kill dogs in movies anymore. And now the dog may get a sequel. Like dogs way, way, way back. Haley gets bitten more times than Bethany Hamilton, yet somehow manages to pull off this move. Now, I'm gonna have to call a flag on this one right here, you know? Is the shot incredible? Yes. Do I have to call it technical on her right foot clearly being punctured and this ledge not being able to handle more than a bar of soap? Yeah. At the same time, though, there is a scene where she's underwater for like 5 minutes. Another scene where she swims faster than Goku. But the reason I don't hold these as like conveniences within the movie is because even after all that hard work to escape, the boat they get in just gets chucked into the house. I was literally having anxiety the way that these characters just weren't getting anywhere. There's a point where everything seems hopeless. That dad's arm gets snapped in half, leaving him looking like Rick Grimes after 7 seasons. Haley's getting spun underwater by a gator, but then she pulls this free move as she remembers her competition with her dad and is able to kill the beast. Oh yeah, the movie ends pretty abruptly with them just staring at a helicopter. And while we did enjoy the movie, obviously, we did wish it went a little bit longer or a little bit deeper into the themes of the family. Jacqueline had made a great point about going further with the idea of letting go, using parts of the house. I mean that whole sentimental value for them as the objects that end up saving them, like they're like the smarty guys. It goes great with the disaster aspect where people lose things without a chance to save them, but also with a personal story of holding on to a path that doesn't let them move forward, or at least even a shot of them looking back at the house as they finally embrace each other and are ready to move on. Thank you guys for checking out this video. I'm Chris Means, not talking about the comment section. Like I said, I enjoy these types of movies where they put their complete effort into getting an experience out of you. Is it as deep as we want it to be? Probably not. Is the action, you know, sometimes like, the girl had better lungs than Michael Phelps after a hit at points, but I am curious to know where this develops. For those of you who are as disappointed as I am with the 47 meters down sequel being called 40, not being called 48 meters down, then hopefully the sequel that the director says is going to be working with this one could be something cool. I hope he did Piranhas, right? And now he's doing Gators. I don't know if he's going to do the birds next, or if he's going to continue something with another crawling feature, but I'm curious. I like that Sam Raimi has been working with a lot of directors who, the moment he gives them the blessing, they start creating insane stuff. So I'm very excited to see what the next of both of them. I'm excited to see Spider-Man 4 whenever that comes out. And I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts about it. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe down below. And I'll see you later, Alex. Listen. Y'all remember that Nickelback video where one person would save another, and it's all this countdown clock for everyone around them until they save the next person about to hit 0, and then the pattern continues? Well, that concept has a full-length movie, but in terms of the next. They had Elizabeth Wales, and she wasn't already being tormented enough on You, and now plays a nurse being tormented by a thumb. They actually made a little countdown app that you can download, which probably knows everything about you after draining your data besides the day you died. But I thought the movie was a decent rental at first. With all this visual flair that it had in its first half, with a premise that was a lot like Final Destination, that had a good balance of humor and scares wrapped up in an interesting modern premise that just gets botched in its second half. Like, it's so bad in my opinion that a lot of the work done in the first half is just obliterated. It made me wish the app really worked. Let me explain. So if the movie can be summed up with one theme, it would be stop just accepting the terms and conditions without reading, but also don't let the death of a loved one consume you. Pretty much the movie's going by its own Final Destination rules, which I don't mind since I was a sucker for those movies, and still defend the genius ending for the last one. Here, the 60 gigabyte app gives you a countdown of the day you're going to die. If you do anything to alter your plans, to clocking your 0, it notifies you that you broke the user agreement and sends an angel of death to go consume you, aka death leaves you after you try to cheat it. As with any movie like this, it always raises two questions, right? One, is there a way to escape death? And two, Why don't you just sit? I'll never understand why these Valley Girl teens don't just, chill in a protected room before the clock buzzes zero. You're shaking, so I know you believe it, and yet you go into a bathroom as if Final Destination hasn't already warned you not to do that. Sometimes the death scenes are a little corny, like getting sucked up by a ceiling fan, but they tend to mix it with the school aspect, like trying to misdirect you with this tree branch over here. The scare was really elsewhere. Like I said, the movie has a lot of those kind of moments, even if the script isn't the best. I really like the sister's light bit where she closes the door and we can turn back around and see it wide open. Like if that happened to me, I'm getting an Airbnb that night. The opening girl's boyfriend eventually dies during baby style, but his fall down the stairs is time for the countdown habit to zero. There's some nice transition as the twin cuts her finger at home on a shattered screen, still feeling it at the cell phone store where she gets a new one. But then other times they just have their phone turning on when no characters are nearby, just to remind the viewers how much time we have left. The main character we follow is a nursing twin who works at a hospital. Everyone has downloaded the app and got decades worth of life left. Even later on, she meets a Holocaust denier at a bar who's got 90 years left. Meanwhile, Twin gets under 3 days and sets the perfect amount for his 19 years. That's what I want. That said, if there wasn't a killer app going on in this movie, it would be completely different. Considering that they decided to stuff a plotline in the movie where Dr. Carlisle Cullen harasses messages during his lunch breaks, pretty much don't trust any doctors in these horror movies. If these guys had an app like this, they would find it useful to determine which patients to attend and not to. Quinn seeks out Priest Ernie for answers before eventually meeting up with the community priest who listens to Lil Nas X in his spare time and believes the Bible is the ultimate graphic novel. I kind of agree. He's the one who explains to them the evil demon Ozin, who's actually controlling this app, which the director stated is made up in order to be able to create his own mythology, which, yeah, he takes advantage of. It's supposed to be this demon that torments you up until the moment of your death, and it taunts you by using your deceased loved one. And there was a part of the movie that's actually pretty heartfelt that I thought was pretty good if it would have fleshed out a bit more. Because when you consider how Gwen and her sister have drifted apart after the death of their mother, when you consider that the app was haunting them with these hallucinations of her, that only heightens the guilt they both share, since they blame themselves for that drunk driving accident the night that she went out to look for Gwen at a place that the sister told her to look. It's very obvious that Queen's eventual defeat of this demon is her overcoming her guilt and fixing that relationship within the family. I don't think the underground's got a permit to change that building. Right?
Trust you. Something your eyes says you're a normal, completely sane person.
Tom Segura kills his role in this movie and injects a good amount of comedy, which makes sense considering the director's background with all of his previous shorts and this being his feature film debut. I think he was able to balance those things well. But then there's this script. Tom eventually helps Quinn and her new friend Painkiller to hack the app in order for both of them to alter their countdowns. And they end up finding the 60 gigabytes worth of code written in Latin that for some reason has everyone's countdown number on there. So, like a Marvel movie, they just had time today. Like I said, it would have ended at the halfway point, right here, right as they visited the phone for the second time. And I think this would have been a pretty good tech horror where they hack their way out of bed and find themselves into each other, with the final message being how they met through this killer. Good enough. There's an entire segment. Panini sets up this ritual that would protect them from the demon as long as they stay inside the circle. That's the only thing they gotta do. And the demon dupes Matt into leaving the place. People can't sit in these movies. They got removed by a car in an empty parking lot. That's a whole other thing right there. Quinn's idea to beat the clock in order to break this curse then has to be altered. She could have just stayed in the circle. But as a medical professional in the field, she decides to kill this dummy doctor before his time is up on his clock so that she could create a plot hole big enough in the movie that it would break the curse and kill the demon. That said, you gotta remember this demon knows your location at all times. You cannot run it as you see. So every time that Quinn tries to kill the doctor in the abandoned wing of the hospital, the demon just keeps pulling you right before she can inject him. This is a demon that knows the moment of your death, If and when you alter plans, it knows your deepest, darkest thoughts and uses up to manifest hallucinations of lost loved ones in order to manipulate you. And that said, this stupid demon can't sense that Quinn's writing an entire plan on her ship. After the plan to kill the doctor fails and the doctor gets ready, Quinn decides that she's going to inject herself with, according to she told the doctor, enough morphine to kill him 3 times over. And even though the ghost stopped her every time she was killing the doctor, it's too slow. Quinn defeats down. Her sister magically has enough marketing to resurrect her, and they're able to live a nice and happy life again as everything's fixed, as if nothing ever happened. Except, did you just try to kill a doctor and you thought it wasn't? Y'all never even closed the Me Too storyline. The entire board trusted him, now he's gonna play it. I don't know, really gonna hit me with a final scene where Twitter gets a notification from the app saying that we're not getting a sequel, but an update? Thank you guys for watching this video. Here's some of the thoughts I'm going to comment section. Like I said, I wanted this to be a regular, but there's enough visual flair there that it's not a satisfying ending enough to tell you to go to Red Box and spend 1 out of 10 on this. Like, I really don't know what happened with the second half. It did not work for me. I'm curious to know your thoughts. One thing about doing research is that for those who need motivation, this director was working on a bunch of short films and he was like an assistant, like a production assistant on a bunch of things, and now he has his own feature film. Regardless of what I think about the second half, I always think that's dope, and I think it's pretty motivational. Especially because I do think he has enough potential. I don't know if it was just a bad script or if they told him to manipulate things to set up the seasons, but there was a lot of cool shots that I wouldn't consider jump scares. There's a clip where the kid walks through the stalls and he bends his toes, and it was so effective for me. I wasn't risking my life with that. I saw this at an AMC. You know how long those AMC things take? I went straight home and held it to me. But there's a lot of really cool things that he does here. I just wish that the script would have been better. But considering this is his first feature, maybe the next one will be a little bit better if this was making any money. Other than that, if you're your thoughts down in the comment section, let me know if you downloaded the Countdown app, let me know what you're looking forward to. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. 3 hours to your life. Listen, 2019 starting off with a cold spell on me, so if I start sounding like Kendrick Lamar and my researchers, I apologize in advance. However, regardless of the goals of community, it's my job to cover these movies for you and get these videos out the same way they got this movie out first thing this year. I don't stick with the January movie. Hollywood knows the holidays are over and most studios are focusing on their Oscar runs, their snowouts, everyone's inside. So it's usually just the big releases that come out, with a couple Paddington sprinkled in. But I'll be honest, escape rooms are rented for me. And considering the latest news reports, it kind of makes it even scarier. I do hate the ending though. I don't think the acting is that great, but this is like that movie that would have been released in late August, even though it was meant to be for Halloween. Let me explain. Like I said, last year horror movies just took every game, board game, and all it seems to work out in social that it possibly can in order to make content. But if there's one movie I found this to be most similar to, it would be Hellfest. Both are survival of the fittest thrillers that go all out with the production design, and both try to push kids to either go to haunted houses, and I'm pretty sure a bunch of people are not going to go to escape rooms. I'm just hoping that they don't make a horror movie that really movie theaters at all. So pretty much you have a group of 6 who individually get this little box puzzle that they need to solve. But regardless of how far they get with it, they don't get the invite anyways. The invite pretty much tells them to go to the state-of-the-art escape room where they can win a bunch of money. But what's interesting about it is that the studio themselves are hosting their own virtual escape room online where you too could win $1 million. Yeah, right. Not falling for that. I love how this is practically TV stars movie. Y'all know Karen from Daredevil, Lauren from Insecure, Benny from The Walking Dead, Sahib from Atypical, Judy from Lost in Space, and of course Tucker who's, reaped a couple. They all arrive in the building where they get their phones confiscated, and they don't even realize that the waiting room they're in is already the escape room. Now to me the whole premise is really interesting because I do like escape rooms, and I personally really love this movie called Sam, which if you haven't seen and an escape room is kind of up your alley, definitely go watch that one. But what's interesting is how much it correlates to real life, because you have Danny, who's played 93 escape rooms, so he's the genius when it comes to figuring out what to do, but just like escape rooms, you have all the other people who are just touching things. Zoe thinks Fahrenheit 451 is a code, so when she inputs it, she doesn't realize that the room actually is turning into an oven at 451 degrees. We figure out that putting 6 cups on their toasters opens up a vent for them to leave, so because they don't have enough hands to put everything down. They do this whole bit where they're trying to fill it up with water. I'm just sitting there going like, bro, just put a book on top of it. Either way, that room blows up, but Danny's still there thinking that all of it is just a test. They end up in a cabin in the woods where Hogan realizes that the passcode to escape from there is relocked, and after things start getting pretty tricky. Besides the production design, which I think is fantastic, shout out to Ed Thomas and his best, making each room a freaking big practical effect. to me, the background story of why each was chosen was super interesting. It turns out that every person in this room escaped death in some way. Zoe was the sole survivor of a plane crash, Ben of a car crash, Amanda from an IED, Mike from a mining accident, Danny from carbon monoxide, and Jason who was shipwrecked and drowned, and decided to choke out the other dude in order to get his fake candidate goose candidate. So it's kind of like Final Destination where they cheated death and now it's coming back to get them. But it's also in the form of the away, where it's a group that wants to explore how lucky these guys got and escaped death once and now wants to see if they can do it again with their mates. They end up on the side of the shack to the third room and legit have to melt the tea that they fished out, but then so I guess they can. They're one down when they enter the newest room. Can't tell me. It practically is upside down bar that ends the tower of terror because it keeps going up levels. They're trying to figure out the clues while the floors are dropping out with musical chairs. They're playing that song from Lost where we met Desmond, so I'll admit I have a bias. Oh, this one is the best scene of the movie. It's like the best set piece where Sarah has to leave the warrior and go across the road, only to find out the boss, sacrificing herself so that the rest can move on. The final four then find themselves in conflict, as all five, and see where the is, connecting up with this EK Jewish leaders. This is the deadly part of the movie. Jason ends up electrocuting Mike because he thinks that he's outright really high. If he just can't try, even pulls his broken strength, but it's hard to even 50 beats to open up the equipment. The weird thing about either way, it allows these two to go to the next room. While Zoe stays behind, killing herself. Jason randomly keeps his shirt off, or I see what, that's all insecure. I know he's the only one I can show who is insecure. This particular room gets them high off peyote or something, because this whole clip starts getting super trippy. So they just drop as much dank effects on this thing. They're trying to find the antidote while it's super high. These two fights. Ben ends up running from the other dude, as he's the only survivor ready to cash in. Turns out Zoe was pulling a Westworld. She pretended to die in the previous room, so when the cleanup room came in to pull a 2319, she would knock them out and escape. She rushes through the building and finds the final room, where Ben is, and we meet the dude behind it all. An open. And we do learn that it's actually a much bigger organization that's hosting several mazes, and they're actually stationed in New York. They scope out people who escaped to death. They bait them to sign up, and supposedly broadcast their escape journey to viewers who pay big money for the real thing. But I'm just not a fan of where they keep like a mysterious figure, the real head honcho who's behind it all. And why is it so mysterious if when you finally reveal it, it's still going to be a nobody to us? Now, I'm not saying that it has to be the Balco Corporation doing another experiment instead. It has to be Jigsaw, one of his 1,000 accomplices. But I wish there was more to the company. I wish we knew more about them, which I guess is why they want to make a sequel. At the end of the movie, we practically get this prologue where these two are the only survivors, and the police straight up dismiss everything that they told them because they went and they checked one room and they're like, see, nothing was here. Even though there was an entire building that went stories high, like, are you telling me that this corporation just took around to roof themselves out of there that fast? 6 months pass and the corporation finds a way to fake the deaths of all the other players as the girl reads out their obituaries in the newspaper. And she decides that once she knows that they're located in New York, she's going to fly to their offices and forces Benny to go with her. Also, of course, Simon out. But little does she realize that the plane she's about to take over is just another escape room with higher challenges that they planned for her. Okay, I do have a little bit more to say. I do want to give this movie credit for the details, right? Like, yeah, there's corny anagrams that they do, like the whole time that you're seeing Dr. Go, it just ends up being a play on No Way Out. But I really like the Slumdog Millionaire spin with how they kind of white-paired into the players. Each room was based off of mistakes that they made in the past or memories of a traumatic event, which was an interesting way to mess with their psyche as they're trying to figure out how to get out of that room. You know, there's several moments like at the beginning where the guy at the front told me to thank you for your service, and you realize later on that it was because she served in Iraq. There's the moments where Amanda says, "Do I know who to be?" and you realize that because Zoe was cutting damage from the crash. The Chicago Mirror newspaper that reads 5 burned alive is only traumatic because Amanda herself got burned, but even got scarier when you look at what happened in real life recently. The compass for Zoe being the one thing that she had after the accident. The husky neck sleeve that has two different colored eyes. The jacket that this guy fought for. The magazine covers that display all the movies before they even hit them. A bunch of cool stuff. I even like the Final Destination view with the plane set. But boy, the acting on that final clip, like, you know the acting is bad when it sounds dubbed and it's not. I'm still laughing at how the girl or whoever else is controlling the game put the final road manager as a player. Like, he put him up on screen like Super Smash and then crossed him off when he died. It's just one of those things where it was clear that they wanted to leave a cliffhanger in order to get a sequel. But if this was supposed to be like a real escape room, then once the movie ended, they should have told you everything you needed to know. And also, because y'all might not get greenlit for the next one, so now we're just gonna be left hanging. Thank you guys for checking out this video. Again, apologies for my voice completely being gone. We're traveling to the West Coast right now, and I almost was gonna be recording for this. I would try to get this one out, but we just have like probably a week or two. I don't know how long it's gonna be. I know I'm sounding like Mike Wazowski's boss with the voice right now, but hopefully it's not too irritating. I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section for this movie. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like I said, I enjoyed it. There's a bunch of bad stuff on there. I hate that they made Lawrence. To me, Lawrence is like God's Chuck. Like, he looks just like him. He's such a likable actor. He's such a nice dude. So to see him try to play like the dick in this movie made no sense. There's like a line that he says about like making fun of someone's One Direction CD. It's like, bro, no, everyone got One Direction. It wasn't that bad. Something that's casted in the movie didn't work for me. I wish it would have wrapped it a little bit better. Everything set the overall story pretty fully worked through the story. I do think it's interesting that originally this movie was called just The Maze. Maybe they didn't want to fight the Maze Runner, or it could be because the escape rooms were more popular that they changed it to that. Because the director himself had never even done an escape room until he started doing this movie. So that's pretty interesting. Curious to know your thoughts. Definitely.
And I better not see you committing crimes in my neighborhood.
Subscribe. I'll give you your next
Anywhere.
video.
Again.
Listen. If the grass goes past your ankles, don't go in. We were getting a lot of horror requests throughout October. If it wasn't for the bogus copyright claims, it'd be like 40 days maybe. We would have been able to have all of these other videos we wanted to get out. But nonetheless, hopefully this video is available for you. It doesn't get shoved like one of the movies we're about to break down, which got delayed for 2 years. Let me explain. So this is an adaptation written by the father-son duo of Stephen King and Joe Hill. It's directed by Vincenzo Natali, who's the dirty boy who did that movie Splice. But he also did the movie Cube, which if you never saw, is the story of a bunch of people trapped in a cube who just end up entering other cube rooms and so on. It's a movie about people lost in grass. We got the book option for $1, which is really interesting since King does his Dollar Babies initiative. The only thing was he had to rush the script in 3 weeks. And to be honest, I think he does a great job in every other department. His actors are pretty good, with Patrick Wilson killing it as a creepo. The sound design for my Atmos surround sound was impeccable. I thought it was in there with them. It looked beautiful. And even in the commentary for the film, they called it a Terrence Malick horror movie, which I agree. But Netflix was aligned when they said that this was important, how quick that contrast would be. And if you're watching this on a TV that can support the Battle of Winterfell, you're going to enjoy looking at it.
Stealing a medical
Because
tech
the
car in the dead of
story is
winter?
stupid stuff. After seeing Brad for like 90 minutes, it just leaves you with the question, does everything need to be a whole feature film? I mentioned multiple times that I truly believe some stories work better in a certain medium, as a novel, comic, a cartoon. Not everything needs to be a full-length movie. Especially when the original was a novella, like, y'all should have just kept this as a short. The entire thing ends up being a time loop orchestrated by this ancient evil entity, let's call it, who attract people to enter this inescapable but escapable. It's all grass near a church in the middle of nowhere. It has some rules, like the dead not moving while you're in there, but for the most part, anything really is possible since the graphs is shifting more than the logic of the script. We begin by following Becky and Cal, who are brother and sister, traveling to San Diego where Becky's giving the baby up for adoption at 6 months. They get duped by a kid named Tobin, whose family got stuck in the grass after them because they were chasing their dog, and they lost their minds in there, even though they got there after them, but they were there before. You know, Becky's baby daddy Travis, who did faster than Rotten Tomato score for this movie, hears that they've been missing for 2 whole weeks, but he doesn't go searching for them, so it's been 2 whole months. And for the first 40-ish minutes, I did find it interesting. And the character of Ross, yeah, that dude was creepy as hell.
Raw somewhat tame, real sensitive.
I guess I should be used to Patrick Wilson losing his kid in horror movies, but look, I've never seen him be a woman her own stillborn. That's a whole other level. There's also a rock that's introduced as this powerful force within the grass that seems to give knowledge, like the tree of good and evil in Genesis. It kind of tests morality like the detective in The Good Place. Oh, I thought the rules, to me, kind of contradicted themselves for it. I didn't mind it being ambiguous and open to interpretation. I can see why people view it as a story about purgatory, where a Christian family man goes insane while the prodigal son finds the way for his son. Since way back with Cube, the director's been talking about wanting to make a movie where it all completely takes place in hell. And maybe this is part of it. Like I said, the whole thing is a time loop, but more specifically a time paradox, I think it's called. And I'll give the director this. He specifically stated that it's magic and not science in the commentary that he did, which means that that's what's driving all the rules of this world. And he does make sure that every single character ends up in a paradoxical loop, meaning that there really is no beginning or end, and they were there before and after everybody else. That said, they're also dying multiple times, so it's not even really a loop, but like balls of yarn.
Doesn't make any sense. Anyone figuring who that does.
See, I don't mind movies with paradoxes. I just prefer the ending to the original, not this altered timeline that allows people who are already dead to escape. There's not being a paradox, or even alternate timelines, just random duplicates who appear to die and I guess will continue to. Now, in the short story, the characters were actually younger, and the teens were driving away to stay with their aunt during Becky's pregnancy. The ending is way grimmer in the book, and it has this never-ending doom. Yet in the movie, there's incest, something that's never fully addressed. And then that dude rides off into the sunset with his sister, so I don't know about that. Overall, I'd say if you want a better Fields movie from King, a movie dealing with Fields, go for this one right here. If you want a better thriller from the director, then maybe King.
Guys, you stole an EMT's car after he worked a double shift?
Another war out right now is
beyond
Polaroid, which was supposed to come out in 2017 before being delayed more times than New Mutants. Sadly, there's a lot of movies out there that have been shelved during the Weinstein trial that were just in the mix and sadly haven't been able to get the distribution that they were supposed to get. Either they've been altered, either they've just been shelved completely. And it sucks because recently I was able to catch the director's cut to the current war, which, yo, I really like that movie. So it just sucks knowing that some good movies have been lost. Polaroid, it's a decent round. Shoot on Lucy would be a life. Some of you may hear the plot to this, the plot dealing with a killer camera, and just remember Say Cheese and Die, the Ryan Gosling Goosebumps episode, which, sadly he didn't reprise his role for the sequel, Say Cheese and Die again. But I remember seeing